r/ask Reddit. What loophole did you exploit for years before someone found out? I used to live in an apartment across the road from a casino whilst at university. They released an app where if you check in you get points that go towards free food and drinks. Because I was close enough to the casino I could just check in without going to the casino itself. Every Saturday I used to get a free burger, fries and drink and watch sport in the sports bar. They eventually scrapped the app. It was awesome considering I was a broke uni student. I had a somewhat similar one. I worked in a renovated office building that had casino on first floor. Every month they would send me a promo pack that included $5 free plays. So periodically I'd go to lunch, put the $20 down on roulette red black, and if I won take the $20 and leave. Went on for around a year before they stopped sending me coupons. This is good work. Was living near and attending our local university. While working full-time in an economy in the midst of a recession I barely had enough money to pay the bills, let alone eat. Where I live is very well known for its tourist industry and casinos, so I had quite a few friends who worked in it and would tell me about these massive employee luncheon cafeterias. At that time there were no ID cards or lanyards to be scanned or checked. All you needed was to find it and be dressed appropriately to the employer's dress code. After my friend and I did a dry run on one of those trips, in order for me to find it without getting lost I would go it alone. For almost 3 years I had lunch dinner for free, learning the peak service times and the dead zones. Even got along with some of the cafeteria workers and custodial crews. Plot twist, everyone there was a poor student. Edit. Geez, this comment has blown up. Thanks for the awards. Spider-Mans pointing at each other. JPG. Circa late 80s, you could make a long distance collect call from a payphone and charge it to a private number. The operator would call the other number to confirm. We'd ask the operator to call the number of another payphone nearby and have a friend authorize the call. Free long distance for almost a year. Or we used to collect call from the mall and during the part you say your name. We'd say something like "Mom, come pick me up at the movie theater," and then she'd decline charges. Saved so many quarters. Bob, we had a bye, it's a boy. I used to work at a grocery store and we had this era of the steak discounts. Hundreds of coupons for $5 off a steak were just everywhere for some reason. I found out that if I used the self-checkout and bought a steak that was less than $5 while using the coupon, the machine would give me back the difference in change. I ate dozens of free steaks and filled my change jar up nicely. Edit. Typical holy shit this blew up, thank you for awards blah blah blah. But seriously thank you. I've been alone in my basements for months talking to my pet bunny and today I felt like a goddamn rock star. Ouch, I bet you weren't the only employee that spotted that. It must have cost the company a fortune. I feel bad for the people that owned stakes in the company. People like you bring joy to my life. At my current apartment complex, they just changed the laundry machines so you need to use this super shitty slow app. I found out if you press start on the app and start on the machine and then back out of the app while it's chatting with the machine will start but won't charge any money. Been washing and drying for free for a few months. App name is similar to Small GS or Small Payments Edit. Others in this thread use this app, so I'm gonna hold back the direct name of it and y'all can use this trick for longer. Reminds me of a bug Crackles app used to have about 6 years ago. When an ad started, you could turn your screen on and off and poof, ad gone. Gave me truly free, ad-free TV and movies for over a year. The CW app used to have this bug too, hate that they fixed it. Arby's used to have a take a survey on the back of the receipt and get a free roast beef sandwich. But when I got the free one, I got a receipt then too. I bought one sandwich, got literally dozens for free over the course of a year or so. I managed a BK in high school and they had a similar free sandwich with survey on receipt. That wasn't a loophole. It was intentional. Most people who would come in feeling smart for their free sandwich would grab a drink or other item. You'd be shocked how much restaurants make on soda. The margins are 500%. Which is funny considering most places sell it for so little. To put perspective into how cheap soda is, for many don't know enough to say most restaurants, the cup costs more than the soda inside it. Local casino issued a $20 free play coupon in the newspaper with no expiration date. I talked to the newspaper delivery guy and asked him about that copy, and he told me he's got hundreds of them in the van as they were a few days old now. I got all of them, clipped out the coupons, and proceeded to make $19.50 every day after work for around 500 or so days. Not quite years, but pretty damn close. The casino never printed a coupon without expiration 1 per customer rules ever since. Explain the $0.50 to someone who has never been to a casino. It was a free play coupon, so I guess you had to play at least one game. Hand in the coupon and get $20 credit on a slot machine. Spin the reels once, then cash out the remaining $19.50 as your winnings. The thing we clocked in on when I worked at Kmart would round to the closest quarter hour. So by clocking in 8 minutes early and clocking out 8 minutes after my shift, I got paid for 30 minutes rather than for the 16 minutes. By exploiting this, I was paid 5 hours of overtime a week, cumulatively, during my time there. This added up to about 5 weeks of extra pay. I wasn't ever caught, though. Edit. Actually, since it was all overtime, it was closer to 10 weeks of regular pay. So you're the reason Kmart closed and we don't have Rosie O'Donnell commercials anymore? Thank you. You're welcome. When I was a kid, there was a payphone down the street that if you put your quarter in, made a call but no one answered, it would give you back 2 quarters. Went there all the time and called home when I knew no one was there to answer. My friend and I would go around to the payphones at the mall and do the trick where you repeatedly press the lever that hangs up the receiver and out popped a handful of quarters. My friends would just hit it until it released all the coins. Worked out how to get the jackpot every time on a Connect 4 fruit machine in a pub I used to drink in. It would cost about £5 to £10 before you'd get into the bonus round. Then when you did, you'd play a Connect 4 game against the machine. You place the first counter, and then after the machine places the next counter, you mirror the machine's move. Every game ends in a draw, and you win the jackpot, which was £50. The pub landlord removed the machine after around 3 months as it was regularly empty. Basically paid for my drinking and more for 3 months. Those machines normally operate on profit share with the machine owners, so it makes sense it was removed. Used to work at Starbucks like 7 years ago, and they used to print these receipts where if you filled out a survey it would give you a 6-digit code which you could then exchange for a free drink. However, when you gave in the receipt with the code, we would just toss it in the garbage and then give the free drink. So over a shift I would just keep all the survey receipts when people didn't want them, write random numbers on them, then keep a wallet full of free coffee. Since I already got tons of free drinks, I would give them to homeless people and explain it was good for a free coffee. Probably gave away like 100 free drinks. This is the most chaotic good thing I've heard today. In high school, our PE grade was based on improvement. We took a skills test at the beginning and another at the end, and your grade was based on how much you improved. So, once I learned that, I always sucked at the first test and then did miraculously better at the second. So I had a massive improvement and thus, a better grade. One of my college roommates had a younger brother in high school. Their pay grade was partially based on their improvement on their mile times. He was a track runner and started out with a mile time in the low 4 minutes. Crazy fast. Got a B in pay because he couldn't improve his time by much. Yep, similar thing happened to me and my friend, but we aren't track stars or anything, lol. We got the fastest times on our mile on the track, so when we went and did it again at the end, I think both of us only improved by like 15 seconds or something like that. Luckily I had one of those coaches that just doesn't give a duck. So he passed us both with us since we were still best in the class. Got keys to a new flat on a Friday afternoon. The place had electric but it wasn't in my name. Went to the electric company just before closing and the lady said, "Flat 8 you say? We only have record of 7 flats on that building. Tell you what, glances at the clock. Come back Monday with the serial number on your meter, and we'll get you all hooked up." I never went back and enjoyed free electric for over 2 years until I moved out. Edit to clarify, when I say wasn't in my name, this was originally a large single dwelling property that had been converted into flats apartments. My one I guess was a late addition and I was the first tenant. It simply wasn't registered to me or anyone. It's also standard here in the UK to pay the individual utility bills to the individual utility companies providing their services. I'd have been mining Bitcoin in that apartment. Someone is paying. It was likely in the landlord's diamond. They'd figure out a huge spike quickly. I went to a sporting goods store and they asked me for my phone number when I was paying. I was in a bad mood and didn't want to fight with the clerk, so I told them our local area code +555 1212, which is the old number for directory assistance. Clerk accepted it and I left. When I checked my receipt, I had a huge number of loyalty points, because apparently a ton of other people did the same thing. I called the office the next day and switched the account to my new address. A half dozen times over the next few years, I went and got free stuff with all the points that I kept racking up as one of their most loyal customers. Edit. Wow, I've never had a comment blow up like this before. Thanks everyone. Totally made my day. 867-5309 often works for this as well. Because I was a good student and rarely got into trouble, I was allowed to have my own phone extension in my room. So, if I was out past curfew, I'd call home. When my mom answered, I'd say, "It's for me, I've got it," and she'd think I was up in my room. She never did catch on. De-edit. It was 1976. My mom never knew. I know that because I confessed to it years later. She was very shocked and mad, and she grounded me, but I was 40 and had my own house by then. My parents were the early to bed and early to rise type, and my room was a converted attic 2 floors up from the rest of the bedrooms. I often came home after everyone else was asleep because I had a part-time job, so I was used to sneaking in like a ninja. It was a bright yellow Princess phone, and finally, I knew a good thing, so I did not abuse this technique. Just a few times when it was absolutely necessary, like the time we hitchhiked to see Peter Frampton. You just reminded me of mine. Back in the olden days, late 90s, cell phone minutes were expensive and I also had a landline extension in my bedroom for the kids line that we used for dial-up internet. When my mom told me I had to get off the phone and go to bed, I'd schedule down to the minute a time for my boyfriend to call me back. In order to have it not ring, I'd call the weather line and listen to the forecast on repeat and wait for him to beep in on call waiting. We talked till sunup some nights, then arrange for him to pick me up from the school bus stop and I'd ditch out for the first few periods. Our young love. Still ongoing. Thanks to a charge card, I was granted top-tier elite status with a hotel chain. I downgraded 6 years ago, but the status remained. The hotel chain went through a merger, but since I had retained the status for over 10 years, I was given lifetime top status in the new program that was created. What do you get for top status? They're allowed to stay in any room that's available in exchange for financial compensation. It's crazy. My family used to go to this campground in the summer and rent a little cabin for like a week. In the main building there was a little arcade, mostly older games, and a football table, and an air hockey table. What most people didn't know was, the air hockey table was broke. If you put quarters in, you could push the plunger to start the machine and then get your quarters back if you did it just right. A couple of years in a row were super fun because me and one other kid that knew would keep air hockey going for the entire time. The arcade would be filled with kids who would often play other games while waiting their turn at air hockey. They must have found out after a few years though, because one year we went back and it was fixed. The arcade was also a complete ghost town, and the campground made no money off it after that. That's when I fully realized and understood the concept of a loss leader at like 13 years old. So the two of you handed out a cheat code for a profit, right? Like a backroom dealer kind of thing? Hey kid, for 25 cents I'll let you play air hockey for free, but you can't tell anyone else, wink wink. I used to work at an arcade and I'd sell tokens to parents for half price like a drug dealer. My old job, I worked at a pretty large gym, gold level, like the third highest level. Monthly fee was $79 for the gold membership, but employees got a free diamond membership. I worked there for a year and a half before I quit, but my account was never deactivated. Been going there for a while completely free, still not found out. Diamond membership is like $200 a month. For that money do you get a free hand job after your workout, or what? I wish, haha. Just access to all gym locations nationwide. Used to work for the BBC, they have, as you'd expect, their entire archive digitized. I was working on some cloud stuff so needed access to it to check some access rights. This was literally everything ever shown on the BBC ever downloadable in a ton of video and audio formats. iPlayer is just a fraction of what was in that archive. Took them about 6 years after I left to remove my account. So 6 years free access to probably the largest TV and movie database around. Edit. Blimey, that was a lot of activity while I was asleep. For those asking, I used it mainly to watch documentaries. I'm a bit of a history bore, so would just search something like World War I and see what popped up. You could download as video or audio. I dropped stuff out as MP3s and listened to it in the car. Yes, it was called Redux and good to see other expats who had access for years. Yes, you have to pay for a TV license in the UK. Yes, it's crap to be forced into it. But that does mean there are 0 adverts on the channel, which is nice when you're watching a program. Oh, and yes, BBC these days also stands for something else. Hilarious. Edit 2. No, I don't still have access. That was kind of the point of the whole thread. Please stop messaging me asking me to download stuff for you. Edit 3. Yes, of course you don't have to have a TV license. I meant more, even if you only want to watch one program one time, you have to have a whole year. I support a pay-as-you-go subscription model. If I had free access to BBC shows, I would never get anything done. When Lyft first came out, they were giving away free rides up to like $20-30 if I remember correctly. All you had to do was refer a friend. So me and my college roommate just made a few email address, and somehow my free rides glitched and I just kinda had free rides for the year. Edit. I remember what caused the glitch. I had lost my debit card that was linked to the account, so I had to cancel it and get a new one. For some reason, Lyft kept processing payments to my old card, but it never came out of my bank account. I had free Uber rides for about 2 months due to some glitch. Felt bad, but then all the sexism scandals came out, so I ordered Ubers for my husband to go to work too. When I was in college, they had this deal where if you signed up for a free trial of Netflix, you could get a $10 gift code for Papa John's. They didn't even ask for a credit card back then, just an email. So I would just make new email addresses to use and would get a code every time. Not only did I get free Netflix for a while, but I also got a lot of free pizza. Nice, dude. You pull off any other Papa Cons? Go to your room and think about what you've done. I had a killer racket in school where I would buy the graduating classes' used textbooks for like $5 and then sell them to a third-party bookseller in the next town over who would pay me between $25 and $30 for each one. Eventually people started asking questions and others figured out the deal. I had a similar experience. My school textbook store was required to buy books back at 50% of what they sell them for. However, they don't have to be bought from the textbook store in order to be bought back. I'd buy cheap used books from Amazon for $5.10 and see back to the campus bookstore for $15.50 depending on the book. Still going on, and a great way to turn a quick profit each semester. Back in college, I figured out you could buy textbooks on eBay during the middle of the semester for pennies on the dollar. Made sense as all the demand was at the beginning of the semester. So what I'd do is figure out what classes I was going to be taking over the next year and pull the syllabus off the professor's website. I'd then keep an eye on eBay. I would get a $200 textbook for $10. Only once did I get burned and the textbook changed before I took the class. So I had to pay retail for that book. Still saved enough to make it worthwhile. One week the local Chick-fil-A put a coupon in a local coupon magazine flyer, which was buy one, get one free, any item on the menu. Next to that coupon they had a 50% off any menu item. I carefully checked, and neither coupon mentioned cannot be combined with any other offer anywhere on it. So I ran out to the local grocery store and grabbed a stack of these flyers. Sure enough, the next week the offer was gone, but it was too late to stop me. I spent almost 2 years as a grad student living almost exclusively off of 128 count nugget platters that I would get for 25% of the cost. First half off, second free. Place went under new management and they put up a sign saying they would no longer be accepting those coupons. Not entirely sure if that was due solely to me or if anyone else was pulling the same thing. I had about 20 coupon pairs left when they shut it down. I had a similar thing with my friend and canned tuna. We were shopping after our gym visit and came across some incredibly cheap tuna, not even on sale. I think an ordinary can cost something like $5 US, but this was like 30 cents. So naturally we bought like 30 cans each on multiple occasions, and a few weeks later the price had gone up to something like $3 US instead. I'd like to believe we were the culprits of that. Parking meters took credit cards, but they weren't actually connected to a live network at all times. The machine just confirmed the card number was valid and was not expired, then spit out a valid pass. So when my card number got stolen and replaced, I kept my old, cancelled card. Of course, when the system tried to run the card later, it would be declined. My car and I were long gone by then. Sadly, they wised up and now it charges your card before giving you a pass. There used to be this app called Free Rice or something on Facebook back when it first came out. It was a widget, I think, where you could answer multiple choice questions, and for each one right you would have a grain of rice donated to a family. While that was quite shit because a bowl of rice was a ton of grains. So I one day found out while playing that if I knew an answer 100% I could spam click the answer repeatedly until I got bored, and when the website finally loaded in my selection it would count as a ton of right answers. I eventually earned about 500,000 grains of rice for some family, if they actually ended up donating it. Edit. Just to clear it up, I didn't do this over the course of a single day. I meant I found the loophole one day while playing the game normally. Abused the loophole every day after that though. E2. U/Colonel O Popcorn mentions it was most likely 10 grains per right answer, which sounds way more reasonable. Sorry about that. 1 grain would be hilariously bad. Obligatory not yours, but I can't believe I got away with it. My mum gave me £20 to buy a big thing of a certain brand of cat food which normally costs £10.99. Now here's the thing, when I entered the store I was given a coupon for £5 off that particular brand of cat food. The store was also doing £5 off the type of cat food I entered for. I got to the till and the food was priced at £5.99. I handed over my coupon and it was scanned so that the food was 0.99p. I couldn't believe my luck because normally it says not for use in conjunction with any other offer. But here's the real kicker. The lady behind the till gave me another coupon, so you can bet your goddamn life I went round again and left the store with £22.98 worth of cat food for £1.98, with a third coupon in my hand. The only reason I didn't keep exploiting the loophole was because I had to carry it all home on my BMX edit. Thanks for the awards, guys. I didn't expect to get this sort of response. For anyone who wants a bit of backstory, I was about 12-13 year living in southern England. And that's how Chunky McFit Whiskers got his nickname. Not intentional, but once I found out I didn't stop. Years ago I used my card to pay for Xbox Live during a period before I could pick up a manual 1-year subscription. But when I tried to remove my card details it wouldn't let me and said I had to call Ms. directly. Being lazy but smart, I decided to just change the security numbers that were saved so it wouldn't process any future payments. And it never did, but somehow I still kept getting Xbox Live access. This went on for about 1.5 years before it stopped. I was never contacted about paying anything for what I'd used either. Edit. Holy balls. I did this last night as a throwaway comment and came back to 6k upvotes and my first ever awards. You guys rock. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.